Welcome to The Explainer. We're right on the edge of a world where AI can actually move, build things, and interact with our world. But what if that AI has a huge, dangerous blind spot? Today, we're going to dig into a totally new kind of cyber attack, one that doesn't just happen on a screen, but right here, in the physical world.
Okay, so this question really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? We spend so much time worrying about AI safety when it comes to text and images, but what actually happens when an AI can do things, when it can act?
So before we can really wrap our heads around this new risk, we've got to understand the tech that makes it all possible. And that's this new frontier where AI is literally getting a body.
Yeah, this is what's called an embodied LLM. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like giving a brain like, say, GPT-4, a physical body. All of a sudden it has hands and feet and it can move things around based on what you tell it to do.
All right, so if an AI has a body, how in the world do you trick it? Well, researchers have found this really clever and kind of scary vulnerability that they're calling the blindfold jailbreak.
So what is this thing? Well, the whole idea behind this attack is to take advantage of the AI's cluelessness about what happens in the real world. It's almost exactly like the AI is wearing a blindfold. It can follow one simple instruction at a time, but it has absolutely no idea what the big picture looks like or where its actions are ultimately leading.
And this right here, this is the fundamental flaw. The AI safety programming is all about analyzing language. It checks if the words in a command sound dangerous, but it doesn't analyze the actual physical chain of events that follows. You see, there's a massive gap between understanding words, semantics, and understanding real-world physics.
Okay, so let's look at how they pull this off. The first, most straightforward method is called direct decomposition, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. You take a dangerous goal and just break it down into a bunch of small, harmless-looking steps.
And this is a perfect, chilling example. So the malicious goal is to destroy someone's phone, right? But look at the steps the AI is given. Find the phone, pick up the phone, move to the oven. I mean, on their own, totally harmless. Any safety filter would just wave them right through. But when you string them all together, you get a final outcome that the AI was completely blind to.
All right, now let's get a little more sophisticated. The next method is called intent obfuscation. You can think of this one like a magician's trick, a little misdirection. You hide the one dangerous action inside a whole flurry of perfectly safe ones.
So here's how it works. The attacker might tell the AI to do a bunch of safe things with, say, an apple. Find the apple, pick it up, move to the oven. The AI thinks the whole point of the task is about the apple, but snuck right in the middle of those commands is the one dangerous instruction. Place the phone in the oven. The harmless Apple stuff just creates enough noise to completely mask the real, malicious intent.
And look, this isn't just some theoretical problem cooked up in a lab. When you have AI controlling actual physical robots, these kinds of digital vulnerabilities can cause very real, very physical damage.
Yeah, the potential consequences are pretty serious. We just saw the phone example, but imagine scaling this up. A robot in a factory being told to subtly sabotage equipment, or maybe a smart home assistant being tricked into creating a fire hazard. The possibilities here are genuinely alarming. So by now you're probably thinking, okay, but which AI systems are we talking about here? Does this actually affect the big models we hear about every day? And the answer is a pretty sobering yes. The researchers tested this, and this vulnerability exists basically across the board. We're talking about the biggest models from OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, you name it. It seems like the second you connect one of these powerful AI brains to a physical body, this blind spot just appears.
So what's the fix? How do we solve this? How do we finally take that blindfold off the AI and make these incredibly powerful systems secure?
Well, it's not as simple as just building a better word filter. We need a fundamental shift in how these AIs actually see and understand the world. And it really comes down to two key strategies.
First up, we've got to give the AI eyes. This is called multimodal alignment. It just means plugging real-time video into its safety checks. Think about it. If the AI can see that it's holding a phone directly over an open oven, it can recognize the danger no matter how innocent the text commands sound.
And second, the AI needs to start thinking more like a detective. Instead of just looking at each command as a separate, isolated clue, it has to piece them all together to see the whole story. It needs to run a simulation of the entire sequence of actions and ask itself, okay, what's the final outcome here? And it needs to do that before it moves a single muscle.
All of this leaves us with a really critical question for our future. As AI steps out from behind our screens and into our physical world, just making it smarter isn't going to be enough. We have to teach it a kind of physical common sense, that deep understanding of consequences that we humans just take for granted. The real challenge, it seems, isn't just making sure our AI shares our language, it's making sure it shares our grasp of reality.
That's all for this explainer. Thank you for joining us.